Much. I will leave questions to the audience, if anyone has any questions.
Liability is also supposed not just to compensate the victims, but also to contribute to reducing accidents, in the sense that it should induce a virtuous behavior in the party that would be liable in case something happens. When there is a compulsory insurance, doesn't this incentive disappear? Because you have paid the insurance, why should you pay for taking care that the accident does not happen? You have already done your share. Is it a problem, or what kind of mechanism do you have? There is an increase in insurance premiums when something happens. Is there any mechanisms that reward that in a way rewards those who have taken more care in order to prevent accident and punishes those who didn't?
Okay, no, thank you for that question. It's a good question. We talked a little bit about, I think, this yesterday, in the way that aviation insurers, we are organized in something called the International Union of Aerospace Insurers. And it's not all about, premiums, of course, it's also about safety. So we are having a lot of discussions about what is the best practice when we are accepting your risks, ATC risk, manufacturer risk. We should raise the right questions, and we should also, not allow to insure companies that are not being, taking responsibility for safety. Insurance world has, changed a lot, in my view, in the last 10, 15 years, that things go much faster than it did 20 years ago. We get a lot of information, and companies are also, very many companies are very lean, and it's like in the banking world to me. But that is very clear to me that right now there is a lot of discussions about this in the insurance world, where we are trying to educate ourselves and to really, that all underwriters that accept risk are asking for the right questions. And I'm not sure if that was the answer to your question, but yeah.
And I think that compulsory insurance changed a lot, especially with the new airlines, low-cost carriers, for example, because certainly they were underinsured.
Yes.
So I think that with the compulsory insurance, with the system of minimum insurance required, is the best solution in order to push this operator to ensure their liability.
No, but also, sorry, just to, if I ask, what you're talking about, if I look on ATC, for example, underwriters are giving very high liability coverage to air navigation service providers that are taking a lot of responsibilities for these questions. I think that's very clear. But there are other countries, for example, in Africa, where we are not giving high policy limits. They have to take responsibilities. I mean, they could, buy cheap insurance, and if something went wrong, we pay. But that is not the case.
Any other questions? Please.
What about UAVs? What do insurance companies consider UAVs? Are they considered aircrafts, or have they got a special regulation?
Well, yes, that is, I need to be somewhat grayish on this. UAVs has been discussed a lot and is discussing, and there is liability is very unclear. We insure some low-valued UAVs, but more from a, say, property risk than a liability risk.
So it has to be still regulated?
Yes, there are a lot of discussions right now. That's the best of my knowledge, yes. But it's an ongoing discussions. It's a lot of discussions right now.
So the UAVs nowadays, they are not insured, and losses are going to be, doesn't the compulsory insurance not apply to in those cases, or does it apply?
Well, As I said, you know, to the best of my knowledge, I talk for our company, we ensure UAVs during the development phase, the tests and things like that, and perhaps the liability surrounding, you know, the testing in certain regulated areas. But you know, the liability from UAVs, if there are any that are flying, you know, around in Europe, I don't think that we have that exposure today.
Also because they can't fly in the common airspace, and that is the reason why we don't have a system of compulsory insurance.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, sorry. I was thinking seriously if I should intervene, because definitely I'm an engineer, so I have a very different perspective from you, certainly. And I feel that this is hugely part of the problem, trying to get complete picture in a different paradigm. We have been discussing here just the present paradigm, where you have very clearly a pilot, a controller, and state-owned, very simple systems compared to the ones we are discussing in single sky and in projects like CESAR and NextGen, which introduce a huge amount of automation. The role of automation is also transnational, which means that the interventions like you discussed in terms of the state when there is an accident is not as clear. And I'm sure that this is the reasoning behind the compulsory introduction of insurance in the single sky, the first single sky package, and certainly in the second. And this will have to be discussed because you will have most certainly liability of system which is highly distributed. It is a virtual system which will have independent parts in different states, but will act as one entity. And if the system is at fault, or if communication with the system is at fault, I think we have to be highly proactive and try to identify possible causes of failure. And my reason for being here is exactly that, because I have a feeling that definitely we need to have a look from both perspectives, the legal perspective, the insurance perspective, and the engineering perspective, see if we can proactively identify how the system can be liable, or the person servicing the system can be liable in the future. The paradigm is very different from the one we are talking about. The UAVs certainly at the moment are limited in number. And when they function properly outside normal segregated space, yes, they pose no risk. But when they fail, what happens? That is what is important. And when we have a huge number of them in future. So we have to be, my feeling is that we have to be highly proactive and look at the system that we are going to build, not the one we have at the moment.
I can perhaps say something from the insurance market again then. What we are seeing is, you know, in the Nordic area, for example, that there are small UAVs that the manufacturer wants to insure, which have, it's really small, not the huge UAVs we're talking about, but where we have offering liability coverage. And I think that is a start, you know, when insurers want to learn more about the technology and how it works and liability. So it will be a step-by-step approach, I guess.
Okay, so if there are no more questions, I would like to thank Roger and Anna again for very interesting presentations, and we'll see what happens in the future then, if we will have another regulation in the area or not.
Thank you.
Thank you.